If you're inclined to read into moments and body language, it's possible. What's happening in Qatar now was foretold in that lavish Saudi Arabia visit a few weeks ago. The young Qatari emir initially fawned over by President Trump.
We are friends. We've been friends now for a long time indirectly, haven't we?
The Qatari even positioning himself to the right of Trump for the photo op until, watch this, the Abu Dhabi crown prince just slides in between them. Qatar politely squeezed out of the way then before it was bullishly blockaded this week by its biggest regional partners. Monday morning, just before 6 a.m., it started with Bahrain. 10 minutes later, it was Saudi Arabia. Within half an hour, the United Arab Emirates joined the blockade. By day's end, 6 countries had cut diplomatic ties with Qatar, blocking the land border, limiting air and sea routes, a reaction to Qatar's supposed support for terror groups. It's not alone in that support in the region, but it alone is being targeted. Qatar's old friend, the United States, which has 11,000 troops there, didn't exactly leap to its defense. President Trump seeming to back the blockade.
The nation of Qatar, unfortunately, has historically been a funder of terrorism at a very high level.
But it feels like there's a real disconnect between the president and his administration. The Pentagon cautioned this regional rift is hindering our ability to plan for longer-term military operations. And the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, cast a totally different tone from the president, calling for a de-escalation.
We call on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Egypt to ease the blockade against Qatar. There are humanitarian consequences to this blockade.
Humanitarian consequences aren't easy to see in Qatar, at least not yet. Its citizens are the richest in the world. But keep an eye on what happens with Al Jazeera now. The Qatar-funded network is a huge irritant for all those countries behind the blockade. Many blame it for stirring the Arab Spring and want it silenced.
One of the most renowned networks that people are trying to use, or governments are trying to use as a bargaining chip in a standoff. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
The network has launched its own investigation after a cyber attack yesterday. No word on who's responsible, but each day this rift goes by, trust erodes. It's getting harder for all to know who is friend and who is foe. Adrienne Arsenault, CBC News, Toronto.